everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. It's the playoffs. Round 1 is right here, right now. Well, tomorrow night, but it's here. The playoffs are here. We have 7 games left in the indoor football season. Well, indoor football league season. And yeah, it's sad. I don't want it to end. But here we are, first game up, Quad City and Green Bay, number 4 versus number 1 in the Eastern Conference. You see the, all the stats and everything right there, so let's jump into it. 7:05 p.m. Central Time. If you haven't seen the news, which I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably have, this game will be on Stadium's YouTube channel, not the Indoor Football League's channel, not the team's profile channel, anything. Go to Stadium's website on YouTube, Stadium /Stadium, whatever. Just Google Stadium channel. You will find it. Live from the Resch Center in Ashwaubenon, Wisconsin. We got the number 4 Quad City Steamwheelers kind of limping into this one a little bit against the number 1 Green Bay Blizzard with a good victory there. They finished 13-3. They are, in all intents and purposes, the best team in the league based on conference win percentage. What that means, absolutely nothing. So, especially right now, absolutely nothing. Just putting those records there to let you know what went on. Both these teams actually played their entire season just within the conference. So, Quad City played all 16 games, as did Green Bay. They did not play a Western Conference team. So, these two teams know each other pretty well. Taking a look at our statistical leaders here, Judd Erickson and Edward Vander lead in the offensive categories for Quad City. Vander leading rushing and receiving, Erickson leading and passing. And then defensively, you've got Jalen Swan, Bubba Arslanian, and Darian Jackson for their respective categories. On the Green Bay side, Max Myler, EJ Burgess, and Lowell Patron leading for the offense of the Blizzard. And then for the Blizzard on defense, Rafiq Abdul-Wahid, Julius Wilkerson, and Riverius Rivers for those positions. Now, I'm not going to have a player to watch here, because with everyone playing an even number of games here, all 16 games for every team, I'm going to take a look at the stats here and kind of how these teams shape up a little bit. Try not to go too long and kind of point out, what these teams are good at, weaknesses, things like that. I've done this before in a couple previews during week 7 or 8 or anything like that. Just, yeah, didn't get too much, just more or less wanted to keep players to watch and kind of keep it consistent. So we'll see what happens. For both teams, Quad City's offense is a little left to be desired, a little below average, 11th total. And I don't know how well the numbers show here, so I'm going to try and, speak about it. So the 11th best offense on the year are the Steamwheelers. Green Bay not too much better, 7th. So right around middle of the pack for Green Bay, Quad City on the lower end. Total defense, we'll go with Green Bay first. They are the number 1 defense in terms of total yardage allowed. Meanwhile, Quad City not too far off. They're 5th, so they are in the upper half. So both these teams have pretty good defenses. This is where it gets a little interesting. Rushing offense, Green Bay 11th, Quad City 12th. These teams don't really run the ball too much, and if they do, it's not that well. Look at rushing defense. Again, Green Bay 11th. Their rushing defense leaves a little bit to be desired, while Quad City is 5th. So they've got a little bit better of a rush defense than Green Bay, but that rushing offense 12 versus the rushing defense 11, that's kind of a strength versus strength right there. Let's look at the passing side. 8th best passing offense for Quad City. Green Bay is only 7th. So again, middle of the pack passing offenses, but this is where it gets a little tricky. Green Bay has the number 1 pass defense. So trying to throw on Green Bay has not really worked for a lot of teams this year. And you're better running the ball, but Quad City hasn't really run the ball. We'll see if they can kind of do something along those lines. Quad City's passing offense is 8th overall. So again, middle of the road. Their passing defense is 6th. Again, middle of the road. Quad City has just been kind of a middle of the road team here. Excuse me. Look at third down conversions. Green Bay is 3rd in the league. 4th down, they are 13th in the league. Meanwhile, Quad City is 8th and 6th, respectively. And then red zone, 10th and 11th for Green Bay and Quad City. And then penalties, kind of on the lower end. They don't really get penalized too much when it comes to it. And they're some of the least penalized teams when it comes to things like that. I hope I'm reading that right on the stat sheet when I pulled it up on the IFL website. But I don't think these teams get penalized too often, kind of middle of the road here. And then instead of a series history, I went with the 2024 series. Green Bay leads at 2-1. Mainly close games except for the middle game, 64-36. It was just busted wide open for Green Bay in that game. And Vegas favors the Blizzard in this one, 9.5 points to them. A very heavily juiced money line. You're not going to get a lot of money if you bet Green Bay outright. And an over-under of 86.5. So again, these teams have met 3 times this season. They're going to meet for a 4th time right here. Weaknesses for Quad City, I don't know if they're going to be able to throw it. If they get down early and they have to throw it to kind of get back into this game, that works very well into Green Bay's favor. So Quad City has to score early, they have to score often, and keep the pressure on Green Bay. Flip side for Green Bay, your rushing offense is kind of middle of the road, kind of lower tier, and your passing offense is all right. But that kind of works into Quad City's defense a little bit. So again, this could be a defensive battle here. This could be something where whoever blinks first, it could be something like Week 15, 37-27. They've played close. The other side too, though, is Green Bay has really limited Quad City in terms of scoring. Quad City has not scored 40 points at all against Green Bay. Likewise, minus that one game with 64 points, Quad City's defense has stood tall as well. So, with that being said, let's go check out the rest of the preview and what we have in store for game number 1 of the playoffs. All right, injury report for both teams. Kind of the same thing for Quad City, except you're taking a name off, you're adding a name, and you're kind of downgrading another. Sonny Lane has been on the short-term injured reserve for a while. He's now done for the season. Not to mean he can't come off, but done for the season. Added to the short-term injury report, Karan Ashley, so he will not play in this game. And then taken off of short-term injured reserve is Easton Bianchi. Now, Green Bay has added quite a bit to that injury report. That might be the most players injured of any injury report we've done all season. Don't quote me. You can go back and look, but don't quote me. That's a lot of time. Just don't do that. Season injured reserve. They have added Darren Brown and Christopher Biggers, along with who they've had kind of all season, and then added to the short-term injured reserve list Skylar Perry, the backup quarterback, Desmond Thomas, kind of a depth offensive lineman, Jalen Johnson, your backup linebacker, and wide receiver Andre Williams, who did play last week, and I believe the last week before that too, so he has been kind of a depth piece to that wide receiving core. We can go take a look at those rosters here in one sec, but that is quite a bit of injuries, and they have kind of replenished it a little bit when we take a look at those rosters. So let's go see what they have to fill those holes. The good thing is, though, with those injuries for Green Bay, it's not really any of the starters. So with that being said, let's go take a look at that roster and see what we can piece together. All right, 25-man rosters for both teams here. Let's take a look at the away side. So big thing, we'll start offensively here. Offensively, you do get Easton Bianchi. You do lose Karan Ashley. Karan Ashley has not played in the last couple of games, though, so it might have been a retroactive put on short-term injured reserve. They have gone with Warren Newman, Raheem Harvey, Kevon Rudd, and adding Easton Bianchi for some speed and some kick return coverage and stuff like that. Could bolster the offense a little bit. We'll see. Easton Bianchi has not played in a while, and I think he's only played in like maybe 2 or 3 games this season total, maybe even just 1, if my memory serves right. So, yeah, we'll see what kind of depth that adds, but we'll see. Biggest question here, too, is who starts a quarterback? They did another tandem last week. Irwin got into the game. Erickson played a little bit. I don't know. It's worked, but it hasn't, So we'll see what they do there. Defensively, this is where it's going to hurt a little bit. Malik Owens has been released, so you lose a key member of that defensive line, so that could hurt the rush defense and that pass rush to help, ruin the timing. They do sign Will Miles and Sam Hammond. Sam Hammond played for Quad City last season. He was part of that playoff team last year as well. He can fit right in. He knows the schemes, but coming in on a week's notice. I mean, how geared up are you for that? We'll see. Jalen Swan, Keyshawn Moore, we'll see who starts, if it's a Zinwa getting in there as the starter, or if you throw Samuel Hammond kind of to the wolves there. Everything else, though, stays the same from the linebacking core and the secondary for Quad City. So, defensive line, a little bit of an issue. For the Blizzard, offensively, they have added some guys. They've added Jake Oliphant to the offensive line. They've added TJ Davis, the former Nebraska Kearney standout. The dude is just amazing. He did get signed by Northern Arizona earlier in the season. I don't think he got into a game, but yeah. This is where it's going to get a little interesting, is they only have 3 wide receivers on their roster. At least, not injured and stuff like that. So we'll see who gets in there. Does TJ Davis play a wide receiver role? Do they throw Cagle out there in the slot? What do they kind of do in that regard? Or do they just roll with 3 wide receivers? So that's going to be a little testy. Last time these two teams played, there was a little bit of some injuries to Patron or Ballard, kind of guys going down throughout the game, and you had to have Skylar Perry come in and take over for a wide receiver position for a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. Defensively, they have added Trey Berry to the defensive line. So what does that kind of say? Is it more of a depth piece? Otherwise, they're going to kind of go with your usual suspects of Oladipo, Abdul Wahid, and Sean Mustin up front. Wilkerson is your linebacker, and then the usual suspects on the secondary. So like I said, all those injuries that we just talked about could amount to really nothing, because Green Bay didn't really lose any starters. In fact, they get Kevin Ransom off of injured reserve, so that just adds more depth to the secondary. So really big in-depth piece right here when it comes to the rosters and who's on, who's off. Should be a really fun game. We'll see how well Green Bay tests that defensive line. We'll see how well Quad City wants to run the ball. Let's go check out our bet, our prediction. We'll get out of here. Best bet, -9.5. I have Green Bay winning this one. I think they kind of pull away at the very end. They tack on a touchdown or two, and they just kind of go from there. Quad City will keep it close, but I think they run out of gas in the second half. As a Quad City fan, I have been very critical of them throughout the season because I just want them to do well. I think Green Bay kind of has their number in this one. This is Green Bay's opportunity to prove that they belong, that they're not going anywhere, and ultimately the Blizzard are here to get to the Eastern Championship, get to the national championship, and kind of go from there. So I do think Green Bay pulls this one out. I think they force a turnover or two. The quarterback situation for Quad City just kind of rears its ugly head, and that defense of Green Bay stands tall. I'm not calling a Riverius Rivers pick, but there will probably be an interception thrown at some point by Quad City. We'll see who intercepts it. My money's on Riverius Rivers. But yeah, I do think Green Bay wins this one. Do they cover this spread? I hope so. I'm betting it. But ultimately, I do think Green Bay wins this one. They win it by 10. They win it by 11, whatever the case could be. We'll check out the prediction in a second. But I think Green Bay is just the better team here. Quad City needed a last-second touchdown to beat Tulsa just a few weeks ago. If they don't score on that quarterback drive, Tulsa's in this spot. Quad City isn't. That's how close Quad City has come to missing the playoffs completely, and how close Tulsa came to making the playoffs. And then you go and have a kick six against Jacksonville. I don't know, like Quad City, the teams that they have played, the wins that they have had, yes, they've beaten Massachusetts, yes, they've beaten Green Bay and Frisco and whoever. Like they've won 8 games. They deserve to be here, but some of those wins, Iowa, Sioux Falls twice, Tulsa, things like that, like it just doesn't bode well for me. I understand. Yeah, Green Bay is kind of the same thing, playing Iowa and Sioux Falls and Jacksonville and what have you. But I don't know. Quad City's offense just hasn't looked good, while Green Bay's has. So I got Green Bay over here -9.5. Let's go check out our prediction, and we'll get out of here. All right, prediction time, 49-38. The reason why I have the score the way it is, and the reason why I have the prediction or the bet the way it is, the -9.5, is when you look at Quad City's schedule. I have it pulled up over here off screen. You can go pull it up on your own. Quad City has not scored 38 points in the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. In 6 games, their last 6 games, they've scored over 38 points twice. In one of those games, they needed overtime because otherwise they were right at 38 points. And then the other game was the last second quarterback draw touchdown against Tulsa to score 39. They have not scored over 40 points in regulation, we'll use that caveat, in their last 6 games. That's not good for an offense. That's not good for a team that's going up against the number 1 defense in the league. When you look over here at Green Bay, they have scored over 40 points in their last 3 straight games. Then they lost to Quad City and they only scored 27, and after that, or before that, they scored 63. So the offense is good. They have scored consistently 67, 54, 64, 63, 54, 51. This offense can score, and they can score points fast. The defense can take the ball away and score on, pick sixes or get the fumble recoveries. They score safeties. This team can just kind of not do it all, but they are right there. It's the reason I have Green Bay able to win this game. Now, if Quad City's defense can get going early, and they can establish the run early with Edward Vander, and they can get those little jet sweeps with Warren Newman or Easton Bianchi or whoever they do the jet sweeps with in this game, whether they put Harrington in or if he's just used as a kick returner. If they have Irwin starting and he's running the ball, doing whatever, Quad City could make this a game. They can get down and dirty like they did just those few weeks ago, like the month or so ago when I was there. And it was an awesome game to watch, and they won the game, and I was happy. I want them to pull the upset. Obviously, I want Quad City to win. I just don't see it. Green Bay is too disciplined in this. They are too good. Green Bay has lost 3 games, and it's been the very first game of the season where they almost came back and won it. It's been a game against Sioux Falls where they lost by 8, and then it was a game against Quad City where they lost by 10. And that game against Quad City, they also had an opportunity to try and take the lead, and there was a late game fumble that kind of happened, and Arslanian was able to recover it. And then Quad City was able to kind of tackle on some points and, seal the victory. So, again, Green Bay has been in every single loss that they've been in. There is a case that they could have been undefeated had things broken their way the way that they did. But, again, ifs and buts were coconuts. I think Green Bay takes this, man. I do. I really think they do. I've got it at 49-38. I just think that they're the better team. If Quad City pulls the upset, one of the biggest upsets in recent history, I just do not see Quad City pulling the upset. They can make the game close. It might take a Kyle Kaplan 50-yard field goal like they did against Iowa. Or it could be a kick 6 against Jacksonville, and that's how they lose again. I'm just saying. I think Green Bay takes it 49-38. That's it. And that's it. And that's preview number 1 of 4 when it comes to our round 1 matchups. And we got 2 games on Saturday to go through. The final Eastern Conference game, and then we start the Western Conference at 9 o'clock with Arizona and Vegas. The other Eastern Conference, Massachusetts and Frisco. It should be a very, very fun day of football for the Indoor Football League. And then 1 game on Sunday between San Diego and Bay Area. The 5th matchup between those teams this season. Insane. So, that being said, I'm taking off here, guys. Hope you appreciate the preview. Hope you like it. Comment, subscribe, share. Tell me your picks, who you think you have winning this game and all the other games as the previews roll out, who you have winning the championship, and everything along those lines. Sometime this week or this upcoming week, I will get not just the Week 19 previews out, but we will recap the horrendous picks that I made at the very beginning of the season and just how truly wrong I was. So with that being said, I'm taking off here, guys. Again, like, comment, subscribe, do all of that fun YouTube stuff. That being said, taking off here. Have a good night. Enjoy the weekend of football. See ya.